Live, local, now. This is WIS News 10.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Emily Scarlett. Another sweltering day on this holiday weekend across the Midlands. So far, the radar has been quiet, but we are tracking the chance of storms in our area again tonight. Meteorologist Vaughn Gaskin has a look at our first alert forecast.
That's right. We are quiet here in the Midlands, but we do have some showers nearby that we're going to keep an eye on because it's a similar situation to what we saw yesterday. We had some nearby showers. They moved in closer and sparked off storms for us that really started to move in and materialize around 8 or 9 o'clock last night, and it lasted up until midnight. So once again, we could see a stormy night out there. As for right now, though, looking at heavy rain near Augusta, Aiken County. This is shifting over to the east. I believe most of it will miss the central Midlands and probably hit us in the southern sector down near Orangeburg and Bamberg, Barnwell counties. Looking at the numbers now, 94 Columbia, 93 for you Lexington, St. Matthews, 92 North, and you're at 91 in Orangeburg. It's a good time of year to go ahead and remember those heat safety tips. You need to remember to stay hydrated at all times. You want to avoid that caffeine. Never leave kids and pets in hot vehicles. Limit your outdoor activity. Make sure you're able to get inside and give yourselves some AC. Always check on those high-risk people and think about your animals. For tonight, 75 degrees the overnight low, 92 tomorrow. Still hotter when you factor in the humidity. We'll talk details on everything else coming up.
New at 6, a horrifying sight just days before July 4th here in the Midlands. Hundreds of grave sites damaged overnight at Greenlawn Memorial Park, most of them belonging to veterans. Now officials at the cemetery off Leesburg Road are cleaning up the mess left behind, trying to figure out who did this and why. Our Caroline Patrikas joins us live with more details this evening. Caroline?
Well, Emily, all day long, family members have been flooding the cemetery here at Greenlawn Memorial Park, where many of their loved ones are buried. But today they found that many of those grave sites were vandalized, and several dozen people showed up here just to check on their grave sites to see if they were vandalized. We've been told that more than 100 cemetery sites were involved in this overnight vandalism. Flowers and vases destroyed, and American flags on the headstones of veterans buried here were snapped in half and thrown around like trash. It's estimated that damages cost around $15,000 so far. The general manager, Suzanne Elkin, says it was heartbreaking to find the cemetery in this shape early this morning. Now, we've talked with family members who had their grave sites destroyed and even those who showed up here today just to check on their loved ones. Today, employees and family members spent the day cleaning up the mess in this heat that they left behind.
Really, how stupid. I mean, is this what you guys think of doing on a weekend night, really? And I know that sounds odd, but why a cemetery? There's nothing to steal. There's nothing to take worth value except families' precious memories. You know, their loved ones are here, and it's just nonsense.
I just couldn't say nothing but wow. But I hurry up and came, you know, to see if it was one of my dad, if it was his gravesite or something.
Columbia Police is now investigating. They don't have a person of interest at this time. They also say that no one was targeted here. It was completely random. And Elkin says that they are now working to install better lighting and cameras here at the cemetery. They're also going to replace all of the grave sites that were destroyed with flowers and vases at no cost to the family. Part of that will be done this coming Saturday. They're going to invite the public to come cook here and barbecue and pick out the flowers that they want, again at no cost. But just a very heartbreaking situation here on the 4th of July weekend. For now, I'll send things back to you in the studio, Emily.
Such a sad story. Thanks for that, Caroline. An update this evening on the man officials say drowned in Lake Murray early this morning. Officials say the man has been identified as 23-year-old Austin Carson. Earlier, officials said Carson was 33. They say he was with a friend swimming in the public swimming area near the Lake Murray Dam when he died around 2 this morning. Officials say the swimming area was closed at the time of the drowning, and Carson and a friend climbed a fence to get to the lake. The Lexington County Sheriff's Department continues to investigate. Richland County officials say a man injured in a crash on Interstate 20 last week has died. Police say 60-year-old Paul Cheesem died Saturday afternoon. Officials say Cheesem was taken to the hospital after the crash on I-20 near the I-77 exit back on June 27th. The cause of death is under investigation. Highway Patrol is investigating the crash. In this evening's White House Watch, President Donald Trump shared a video on Twitter visualizing his feud with the press. The clip was edited from a 2007 WWE broadcast to show Trump punching and slamming a man with a CNN logo on his face. It was shared on the president's personal account. A short time after, the official @POTUS Twitter account retweeted the video. Politicians and journalism advocacy groups have since criticized the post. In a statement today, CNN called it a sad day when the President of the United States encourages violence against reporters. Meanwhile, with Senate Republicans still struggling to get enough support to pass the GOP health care bill, one senator with the president's support is suggesting a new idea that's already being met with some criticism. David Daniel reports.
One thing many Republicans were hoping to celebrate ahead of this July 4th holiday was a vote on the Senate health care bill and the end to Obamacare. That fell short after Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell was forced to delay the vote following a report by the Congressional Budget Office that said 22 million more Americans would be uninsured under the GOP plan. President Trump on Friday tweeted if Republican senators were unable to pass the bill, they should immediately repeal Obamacare and replace it later. Trump's newfound approach was an idea drafted by Senator Ben Sasse of Nebraska in a letter to the president last week.
If we can do a combined repeal and replace over the next week, that's great. If we can't, though, then there's no reason to walk away. We should do repeal with a delay.
Not everyone is on board with that, despite the Senate's struggle to gain the necessary GOP support for the legislation. McConnell responded to the new idea by saying the Senate will continue to pursue a joint repeal and replace of the Affordable Care Act and stick with that plan. The repeal now, replace later notion isn't just an internal party dispute. Senator Bernie Sanders says that strategy could harm millions of Americans by leaving them without coverage.
I have a lot of respect for Senator Sasse, but that idea is an absurd idea. This Congressional Budget Office indicated that if you simply repeal the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, you will throw 32 million Americans off of health insurance.
Facing certain opposition from Democrats, if the GOP health care bill is to pass, Senate Republicans will need support from at least 50 of their 52 members. I'm David Daniel reporting.
Developing tonight, funeral services will be announced soon for a former Gamecock and pro football player that recently passed away. Max Runogre played at USC from 1974 to 1978 and was voted to Carolina's all-time team in 1992. He started Orangeburg Wilkinson High School. Runogre spent 10 years in the NFL, winning 2 Super Bowls with the Philadelphia Eagles and San Francisco 49ers. He was 69 years old when he died. Ahead on the news at 6, strong storms wreak havoc on a Pennsylvania airport overnight. A look at the damage left behind. And we're tracking our own storms here at home this evening. Will any of them turn severe? Details ahead. Top headlines this evening. Residents in Arkansas gathered for a prayer vigil for the victims involved in a mass shooting at a nightclub. The community vigil was held just across the street from the Second Baptist Church in Little Rock. More than 100 people attended the event, holding candles and saying prayers to end gun violence. At least 25 people were injured during the early Saturday morning shooting at the Little Rock nightclub. Many in the community say they're tired of the senseless violence and want it to end.
This morning, I could have possibly had to try to sit down and explain to my grandbaby why her mother wasn't coming home. You know, this is unreal.
A rapper performing at the nightclub at the time of the shooting has been arrested on unrelated charges. Officials say no one has been arrested in connection to the shootings, which they believe are gang-related. A massive fire burned a complex along a lake in Hamilton, Arkansas. Officials believe the Four Seasons Villa Resort caught on fire near Lake Hamilton late Saturday evening. At least 4 to 5 structures went up in flames. One witness says Lake Hamilton was hosting a fireworks display earlier in the evening. However, he believes the 2 incidents are not connected. No one was at home during the time of the fire. Emergency crews were at the scene assisting neighboring homeowners to safety by boat. No word yet if anyone was injured. Pennsylvania police say the man wanted for a road rage killing of a recent high school graduate has turned himself in. 28-year-old David Desper is charged with first-degree murder. The Chester County District Attorney said Desper shot and killed the 18-year-old because he was upset about the way she was merging on a highway. The girl had recently graduated from high school and was going to attend college in the fall. The DA says highway video helped detectives track down the suspect.
This is the story of a savage and senseless murder. Bianca Roberson, 18 years old, gunned down because somebody didn't want to give way. Somebody didn't want her to merge into a lane of traffic. And because of that, a young woman is dead today.
Desper is charged with first-degree murder, third-degree murder, and recklessly endangering other people. The DA says Desper has been arraigned but will not be given bail because this is a first-degree murder case. Ahead on the news at 6, the battle to overtake a former ISIS stronghold continues to intensify this evening. More on the battle to retake Mosul when we return. Making headlines around the world, Iraqi forces are pushing deeper into Mosul's old city as the battle to take back the city from ISIS intensifies. NBC's Richard Engel reports from a U.S.-Iraqi military base in Mosul.
We are now in the Iraqi city of Mosul, and a major offensive is underway to drive ISIS from this city. At one stage, ISIS controlled all of the city of Mosul, and this is a big city at its peak. 2.5 million people were living here. But now ISIS just holds a small pocket of Mosul, just a few square blocks, really. We are now on a joint Iraqi-American military base. It's a forward operating post. These are American military vehicles that you see behind me. And the way it works is the Americans generally stay on small outposts like this one, call in airstrikes, and Iraqi troops do the ground fighting, advancing from house to house. We spent the last several days walking in that pocket of of Mosul where ISIS is still holed out, and it's very difficult terrain. There's a lot of damage, a lot of booby traps, and that's one of the biggest challenges that both the Americans and the Iraqis are facing right now. There are booby traps in the road. Even houses have been booby trapped. In fact, several Iraqi commanders told us that what ISIS will do is they will booby trap houses even while people are still inside of them. They're the original inhabitants. The ISIS members will go outside, lock the doors from the outside, and when Iraqi troops come by, they hear people trapped inside, they hear the screams, they will come try and rescue them, only to see the door or the house explode. And American and Iraqi commanders expect we're going to see more of this, more booby traps, more suicide attacks as the final phase of this Mosul offensive against ISIS continues. Richard Engel, NBC News, Mosul.
A final check on your forecast after the break. And you're talking a lot of heat too.
A lot of heat, a lot of humidity. Remember those heat safety tips because you will need to keep them in the back of your mind. Even as we're looking at temperatures only hitting 92 and 93, you're looking at humidity that will make it feel like 99 or 100. And with people spending extended times outside, you need to be mindful of that heat. So make sure you just remember that. 92 for you tomorrow, 60% chance of scattered storms. The chance is going to be a little bit higher tomorrow because we do have a front that's going to be pushing through the area. So that's something you need to remember. So probably a few more storms on Monday than we have in place today.
All right, you'll have to work around them and still get to those barbecues.
Yeah.
Thanks, Vaughn. We're back at 11.